Okay, here I am live. Yeah, you should be able to tell from the thumbnail. I'm going to start off with a little spiel on Diamond logo Griswold stuff and some of the little bit later ones, the Slant logo and large block logo griddles, because I have a few, so I can make some nice examples of them. And I got a box from Billy Lee, so I figured, well, while I'm at it, I might just as well do a little unboxing thing and share some tips on packaging cast iron for shipment if you have to mail stuff around. Billy Lee didn't do too bad of a job on it, but so I'm not gonna tear Billy Lee apart while I'm tearing into the box. But you do have to be careful when you pack cast iron. It's not indestructible. I've gotten things that were broken in shipment because they were packed wrong. I mean, you can't just throw it in a box with a piece of crumpled up newspaper and call it good. You actually do have to do a bit of packaging with it. But anyway, Diamond logo Griswold. Where is that one here? Put this guy over here, and we'll get that. They're fairly scarce. They're fairly expensive. They made the Diamond logo. Get a little closer there. You can see it's Griswold's Erie in the middle. And underneath that, it says extra finished wear. They use that logo from the 1880s up until about 1910, but they didn't use it on everything. I'm fairly sure the only things they used them on was griddles, round griddles like this, and bigger rectangular griddles. As far as I know, that's the only things they used them on. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see it on the lid of like a tea kettle, but they didn't use them on skillets because it's a raised logo and they tended to wear off fairly fast if it was in contact with the stovetop. So, like I said, pretty sure the only thing they used them on was griddles. Now, there's a couple of variations of the Diamond logo round griddles. There's ones like this, which have a reinforcing ring in the middle of them, and there's one that are just plain. They don't have that ring. These sell there. I showed you one last week, I think it was, that sold for $250 on the Goodwill auction site, and $200 to $300 is usually what they go for, for number nines at least. And this one here, you can see it has some ghost marks. There's an E right after the number, the part number, and then you see an I that runs through that 9, and right below the logo, you can see I think that's 788, the pattern number. That's what I'm trying to say. You see the pattern number. A lot of them did have ghost marks. They reused a lot of Erie patterns for these. There's some that don't have them, but there's quite a variety of them that do. So it's pretty cool. You can see the ghost marks on them, and that's number 9. Like I say, those go for about 200, 250. I think I paid $100 for this one, which was a pretty good deal. Got it a couple years ago, I think it was. After this, about 1910, they started making Slant logo griddles. And these round griddles, there is a ton of variations of these. This one here is a Slant logo Erie. It doesn't have the Erie PA USA, but there's a variation that does have Erie PA USA. There's some that have the EPU on them, and it's pretty much the same as the cast iron griddle. Pretty much the same wording as that, arranged around that X-shaped reinforcing rib. There's also some that have the Erie PA USA on it. It says heat slowly on it because they had problems with these warping. This one here, I don't know if you can really see it on camera. Right out towards the end, it's got a little warp upward on the edge. And that's what the reinforcement was supposed to fix. Actually, a lot of times it made it worse. You'll see these that have different ghost marks on them. You'll see some of them that have the X. You'll see that some of them, they ground the X off of the pattern, and you'll see a ghost mark of that reinforcement on the back. Some of them, they've moved the Slant logo around. And there's just millions of variations on these Slant logo griddles. These usually go 100, 150 around there, kind of depending. Like I said, there's millions of different little variations on different places for the logo. Some have the reinforcement, some don't. Some have a lot of different ghost marks on them. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool little rabbit hole if you want to go down there, and you can find all kinds of different variations of these. And again, this one I got dirt cheap. I found this at a Goodwill, like $10 maybe. I mean, it was ridiculously cheap. I mean, usually, like I say, these go around anywhere 100, 150, sometimes more, sometimes less. This one's a little bit rough. You can see it's got a little bit of pitting on the back, a little bit of pitting on the front, and I haven't really cleaned this up yet. Now, one of the reasons why they had problems with them warping like this is they changed the shape of this edge. You see that edge is just a straight, slanted edge, and it's pretty thin and light. Where on these diamond logos, you see it's got more of a cove-shaped edge to it. And that cove actually give it a little bit more structural stiffness. So they're a bit less likely to warp. This one's pretty flat. I mean, I don't see any real warpage to it, and it doesn't tip and rock and wobble around. But when they changed to this style, they started getting problems with warping. And they finally figured it out by the time they started making the block logo ones like this. And the way they fixed it is they simply made them thicker. I mean, this one is noticeably heavier than this one, even though they're both the same size. So they finally figured it out. This one sits nice and flat too. They finally figured out, yeah, if you're going to have just that straight slanted edge on there, you're going to have to make the cooking surface a good bit thicker. And they did. You can feel the difference in thickness between these two. The very edge, right about there, that beveled part, is about the same thickness on both of them, but making it thicker really made them a lot sturdier and a lot less prone to warping. These ones here, these also go for, I think I saw one sell for $95 just the other day. They usually go, 80 to 100 around there somewhere for the large, for a number 9 large block logo like that. And these are made from about 1920 on up to about 1940. And the Slant logos, these are about 1910 to 1920, give or take a bit. And the, like I said, the diamond logos, those are from about 1880 up until about 1910 when they switched over to the Slant logo. But yeah, they're really cool little griddles. And like I say, there's quite a few variations you can find, different ghost marks. Like I said, there's 2 main variants of these, ones that have the reinforcing rings and the ones that don't. And 1,000,006 different variations of the Slant logos. So keep an eye out for them. If you can find one for a reasonable price, go ahead and get it. You probably won't be disappointed. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of different variations on them. And they are really nice griddles. I mean, you can use them for more than just pancakes and French toast. They're nice for frying eggs. Frying bacon if it isn't too greasy. I mean, if you don't get a whole lot of grease out of your bacon and overflows the edge. But it's usually not too much of a problem if you're not trying to fry a whole pound of bacon on there. But they are handy little deals. You can use them for pizza pans. The smaller ones, you can make a smaller pizza. Big round griddles, of course. People love them for pizza pans. But even these number 8s and 9s, you can make smaller pizzas on them. And they work really nice for that. Get a really nice crispiness to your crust. What I usually do when I make a pizza on these is I'll make the pizza on here and let the crust rise a little bit. Then I'll put the griddle on the stovetop and heat it up. You don't really want to necessarily fry your crust, but you want to get your iron heated up good before you put it in the oven, and you get a lot crispier crust that way if you do it that way. But anyhow, get these here set aside. The diamond logo ones are kind of scarce. I mean, you don't see them all that often. And like I said, they're fairly expensive when you do. Mostly I've seen the round ones. I haven't come across a diamond logo rectangle shaped griddle, but they're out there. And, they're pretty neat things to have. I'm going to back through here and see who else we got here. Tortillas. Yeah, they're great for tortillas. But you can do a lot of stuff with, a lot of stuff on a griddle. See, Sunudo, Billy Lee, Randy Duffy, Kimberly Miller. Cast Iron Chaos is hanging out here tonight. Granny Graham, Amp 88 Jake, Cynthia Wesley, Pool Noodles, Diapers, and Styrofoam Peanuts, what you need to send cast iron through the mail. Yeah, the pool noodles work really good for a lot of things. You can really pad the edges and stuff with that. Styrofoam peanuts, let's see here. They work good too, but they're kind of a pain. Rob York, Randy Duffy, I said hi. Morgan Freedom, RT Scott, nice to see you. I think I mentioned everybody. Mike Washburn, howdy, howdy. Back to the stop. Raymond, good to see you. Skip ahead a little bit here. And we'll get into the packaging. Look what I found. It says Griswold. Who cares? It's a Griswold, $100 price tag. Yeah, it's gotten to that point with a lot of places. They pretty much anything Griswold. Even a lot of the old Wagner stuff that nobody really paid that much attention to has really caught up. Griswold also made nice aluminum griddles with wood handles. Yeah, they did. They made all these same styles in aluminum too, because a lot of people don't really realize that both Griswold and Wagner made cast aluminum ware pretty much from the beginning of both companies. Since 1890, they made aluminum ware, and up until about the 30s when Wagner started coming out with the Magnolite line, they used basically the same patterns for their aluminum stuff as they did their cast iron. There were a few different ones, like the wooden handled Wagner ware aluminum skillets. They were a different pattern, pattern of their own. But most of their stuff was actually the same patterns as the cast iron. You broke your losing streak. You won a Griswold. Cool. Cynthia Wesley won a Griswold skillet. Cast Iron Chaos. I got a question for you. I'm pretty sure you use StreamYards too. Would you be interested in doing a show with me? StreamYards has a new deal where if you're both signed up for StreamYards, you can broadcast the show at the same time on both of your channels. All of your, I think all the comments show up, for both channels, in one list like we have here. But things like super chats on your channel would be on your channel, and they'd be separate. The super chats would be separate, but the comments all show up on the same thing. If you'd be interested, that would be kind of fun. Either, we could do it on both our channels at the same time. Yeah, I haven't used it before either, but, they had a little blurb on it before. Seems to be fairly simple. All you have to do is, if you're going to simulcast both channels at the same time, you both have to be signed up for StreamYards. But I think I would send, whoever decides to host it, I would send you a link. And when you come in, it gives you the option to broadcast it on your channel at the same time. I'm not exactly sure. I'll see if I can. They got a video somewhere on StreamYard, in information section if you can find it. It's always kind of hard to find on StreamYard, but they've got a video and a little blurb on it that explains it. Yeah, I describe a pan and you destroy food cooking it. Oh yeah, it could be a lot of fun. And the 6 or so people that we don't share for an audience already could get to know the other guy. Yeah, are you on Facebook? Yeah, I'm not on Twitter or anything else, but I'm here and on Facebook. We could try and set something up, get a night set up when we're both got a topic and all ready to go, and go ahead and do that. I mean, yeah, it could be a lot of fun. Harass each other back and forth and do some cooking and describing. But anyway, yeah, I'll try to get a hold of you somehow or other through social media and get something set up, because that'd be a lot of fun. And I guess you can have up to 6 different people streaming to their own channels. It'd be kind of fun to get hold of somebody else, maybe get hold of Steven Strawn. I mean, he'd be kind of fun. We could talk about Birmingham stove and range, and you can destroy something in the Birmingham stove and range skillet. Maybe even fire up the wood stove, and I could burn something on that too while we're at it. 2-hour show. Yeah, Chicago hot dogs. That sounds pretty good. I think I'm working nights tomorrow. I might be able to watch it. We'll have to see. No, I'm days tomorrow. Anyhow, packing cast iron. Let's see here. Set that aside. Get hold of this box that Billy Lee sent me. All right, there you go. Doesn't sound too terribly bad, but there's a little bit of motion in there. The biggest thing when you're packing cast iron is you want to pack enough stuff around it that it doesn't rattle around in the box. And if you have more than one thing in there, put some cardboard in between them so that they don't, bang together. As long as you got everything packed up good and solid, you're usually pretty safe with them. First video on YouTube is the one where you set your stove on fire. You used a BSR Red Mountain because I didn't know any better. Yeah, it's a lot of fun trying to cook sometimes. Things get out of hand real fast. I've set the top of that cook stove on fire once. I was rendering down some deer tallow over boiling water in, I don't know if you can quite see it hanging there, that Pequaware kettle right there. You see hanging there. I had that sitting down in the eye, and the water's boiling along, and the fat's on top of the water, and it gets a lot of the impurities out of it. And deer tallow is great for waterproofing leather boots. It's great for that sort of thing, and it doesn't go rancid, especially if you do it over water. Well, I picked it up out of the stove because I was just about done with it, and the fire popped, burned me on the inside of the wrist, and I flinched just enough that it slopped some of the melted tallow over on top of the stove, and it ran all over the top of the stove and then ran back down into the fire, caught fire, and set the entire top of the stove on fire. Yeah, kind of fun. Set the kettle aside, covered the stove, ran and grabbed the bag of salt to smother it out. By the time I got back with the salt, it pretty much burned itself out. But it was pretty smoky. Yeah, if you don't panic, you can take care of a small one pretty easy. But that's okay. I'm always changing the subject anyway. Anyway, we'll get this here box from Billy Lee open. Now, both of these pans are already cracked. That's why she sent them, because I'm going to use them later on when I start doing some of the repair videos. But in the meantime, we'll open them up and see how they did. That's when you get some marshmallows. Yeah, I let the fire burn and get you some marshmallows. Whoops. All right. Yeah, she's got some pool noodles in there. Get this here folded down and I can flick something on the floor. Got some pool noodles and a chunk of styrofoam in there. Like I said, they're not too bad. You know, they are banging around a little bit. But you want to make sure that you, you know, something like this, you know, the pool noodles work good. But this one here, that's an old Arc logo Sydney. You can see you got pool noodles on the side. Like I said, the only other thing that you could have done is filled in the extra space with crumpled up newspaper. Because, like I said, a lot of times these things get banged around, and as long as the pan doesn't get any momentum inside the box and hits the inside of the box when it hits the floor, you're usually okay. But yeah, this is a number 7 Arc Wagner, and there's an A over here. That's kind of cool. I haven't seen that. And I know she showed me that it was cracked. There it is. There's a crack that runs. I don't know if you can see it on the outside right there. And I'll tip her there. You can see her on the inside. Usually cracked pans like this, as long as they don't leak, you can still go ahead and use them. I mean, they're not too bad of a, you know, usually it's not something that you really have to stop using it because it's cracked. And, you know, this one here doesn't look like it would leak. But the thing is, they can run farther. It gets to be a problem because as you heat the pan up, it expands and contracts. And it can open that crack up more and it'll leak when it's hot. Or it can make it crack farther. But it's a nice old pan, whatever it is. Yeah, speaking of spatulas made from skillets. Yeah, I've seen, you know, quite a few of those. Most of the pans I have are cracked in the wrong spot to even do anything like that with them. So, yeah, the problem is heating and cooling. You can end up running the crack even farther. But I'll get that cleaned up, and that'll be one of my welding projects. And this one here, I forget when, that's got a big crack in it. That got a raised number there, an outside heat ring on it. Kind of hard to say exactly what that might be. Be able to tell a little better once it's cleaned up, but that can be an unknown. It's not instantly obvious what it is. Definitely an old style handle. You got the outside heat rings, which usually you know, it's an old style. Probably something from before 1930 at the very least. But yeah, you can see that's got a pretty bad crack in it. I mean, you can see daylight through it. Flip it around that way. But yeah, like I said, most of the ones I have, you know, you couldn't make for some reason they're often selling the spatulas for more than the cost of the pan. Yeah, I mean, but that one there, you couldn't really make much of a spatula out of it. It would only be about that long because that's right where the crack is. But yeah, some of them are just insane what they want for the spatulas. It's a way you could get some use out of otherwise busted up iron. But I would rather, like I said, I've been experimenting and practicing with welding cast iron. I would rather make a usable pan out of it, you know, weld it up, repair it somehow, and you know, put it back to use rather than try and you know, just throw it away. Or yeah, you can maybe make a, you know, pie server out of it, a real small one. But you know, welding cast is kind of tricky, and it's a fairly expensive process, especially if you have to hire somebody else to do it, because you're going to be paying for somebody's time if they're a good experienced welder. I mean, machine shop, welding shop, you're looking at least $100 an hour if it's a friend of yours. More than that, they can do it in about an hour, but $100 for a pan that's cracked, you're never going to get that kind of price back for it. But if it's your great grandmother's antique pan that your idiot nephew-in-law dropped and snapped the handle off, you're definitely going to want to try and do something to save it. But if you have the skills to do it and the ability, it can definitely be something worthwhile. We'll give it a try and see. But I'll have to wait until it gets a lot warmer outside so I can set up my welding and heating and all that sort of thing. There's a couple of different ways of welding cast iron. You can preheat the whole piece, to about 500 degrees and then weld it. And that seems to work best for thinner things. Or you can use the very minimum heat input style. Usually for heavier things, that works better. You just weld a little bit, leave it set, let it cool completely, weld a little bit. And the less heat you put in, the less likely it is to crack and break around the weld. There's a no weld technique called stitching. Yeah, I don't know about, stitch welding, yeah, but I don't know about stitching for I think I know what you're talking about. They use a lot on engine blocks. I got a cracked National for $5 you're turning into a spatula. Then a few warped 80s round griddles are going to be spatulas. Yeah, that'd be kind of neat. Made one from a cracked knot, 3-notch lodge. I'll kind of back up a little bit here. Yeah, I haven't used one of them, but I'd like to be completely solid and not flexible. Yeah, sometimes a solid spatula would work better, but sometimes you need a little bit of flex to get down underneath them. And I can see where it'd be like if you had like a Blackstone grill or something like that, where 10-inch long skillet or spatula out of something like that would really work great. But in a number 8 frying pan, a spatula that's as long as your pan is wide is going to be a bit of a problem. But yeah, these are definitely going to be put on the list. I have to throw that in a lye, see if get that cleaned up a little bit, and see if I can identify it a little more other than just an old pan. Two gate mark pans welded for $75. Not sure if you spend that much again, but the repairs are very good. Yeah, if it's a good repair, $75 for two pans, not that bad of a price, really. But yeah, they've definitely been repaired. So your grandpa was good at brazing. Yeah, brazing is another real common way of fixing cast iron. But brazing you usually won't. It's not like welding. With welding, you have problems with the weld shrinking, and it wants to crack next to the weld. Brazing, it doesn't do that, but it's a lot harder to get a decent looking brazing job than it is to get a decent looking welded one. Yeah, I had to strip it, and only when it was stripped, you found out it was cracked. Kept using it until finally it split in two. Yeah, like I say, that's the that's the risk of using a cracked pan, is that it'll keep on cracking. Let's see. Yes, it was very nice of Billy Lee to send them to me. Yeah, we'll see if we can get them fixed up, and maybe I'll send one of them back. Then again, maybe not. I probably would. Depends on how they turn out. I have a warped Griswold that's used to smash burgers. That'd work nice. Make a burger press out of them. But yeah, that's definitely one of my projects. And I've been practicing. I got a couple of, got some little oval fajita pans, they get for a couple of dollars. I've been practicing on those. Been trying to fill holes in because I showed you that flat bottomed Wagner pot that I have. And if I get that fixed up, I'll use it for a giveaway. Filling holes is kind of tough. I mean, they're real touchy. I've had some that worked out just beautiful, and some that did the same thing and it wants to crack right around the weld, and you end up with a cracked weld. So still kind of figuring that one out, getting the hang of that one. But it'll definitely be a experience. And like I said, I've been practicing. When I got a little free time at work, grab the welder and set up with it. And I got different wire now. I got solid core wire rather than the flux core wire that I've been using. The difference is on a wire feed, a MIG welder, flux core, you don't need shielding gas. It makes its own shielding gas, but it's a little harder to control. It's more spattery. It's a little more violent kind of a process. Where with shielding gas, you get a lot smoother welds. And it's a lot easier to control. So I'll have to set that up and try. I'm going to try it with 75% argon, 25% carbon dioxide gas, and see if that works. A lot of manufacturers call for 98% argon, 2% oxygen, which sounds kind of counterintuitive. The whole point of the shielding gas is to keep oxygen away from the weld, so it doesn't, because otherwise it just doesn't weld right. You end up with a badly oxidized weld, and it's real brittle and easy to break. But at the temperatures involved with the molten metal, that tiny bit of oxygen, the iron is actually the least reactive thing in the puddle of molten metal with the nickel, but the phosphorus and the other impurities of the iron, that little bit of oxygen will burn those off, and you get a cleaner weld. You get better weld metal in the weld itself and around it. So it seems kind of counterintuitive to add oxygen to your welding process when the whole point is to avoid oxygen at all costs. But I also see them recommend different combinations of argon and carbon dioxide, which is a lot more common and a lot cheaper than argon and oxygen. So, like I said, I'll do a little experimenting with that. Once I get that figured out, carry on from there. I have the fajita pan and oven cleaner now. Let's see, back up a little bit. I think I've caught up with stuff. Almost done with that 9 BSR cleaning. It's been a bugger to clean using oven cleaner and elbow grease. Yeah, it can take a while sometimes. There's always some little stubborn bits that don't want to come off, and you just keep soaking them, keep scrubbing them, and it'll come clean eventually. You don't need to get some of the really deeply ingrained carbon out of it, but as long as you got all the stuff off the surface, you're good. Cynthia had the 9 and 10 that matches your number 8 Griswold. Oh, that's cool. I'd like to find, number 8 block logo round griddle. I got a nice favorite round griddle, and I got a couple of Wagner round griddles. Do you season nickel and chrome pans or shine them after you use them? The nickel and chrome ones you kind of season. You don't have to really do the outside like you would. A lot of times the cooking surface, the nickel, the plating is pretty much worn off anyway. So you kind of season your cooking surface and the inside a bit. But other than that, it's mostly just a matter of starting to use them. Especially the more plating that's left on the inside. But other than that, just I don't bother trying to season the outside where the plating is still good. But if the plating is kind of spotty and there's bare spots, couple of coats of rounds of seasoning in the oven will help seal that off and keep them from getting rusty on you. I have a blood blister the size of Rhode Island. Don't need anything else to move. Do I have any cast iron ashtrays? No, I do have a couple of. Actually, I do now that I think of it. I think I still have a couple of little Lodge. You know, they're fairly newer ones. I got a bunch of them on sale. It was when Lodge first started to pre-season them, and these were bare iron. They were in the white, and I got like a dozen of them for $2 or $3 a piece. They were closing out their unseasoned cast iron. I got those and a bunch of little mini cauldrons, and I still have a few of them left. I've given away most of them over the years, but yeah, those are the only cast iron ashtrays I have. You can use it for a spoon rest or an ashtray. I mean, I suppose you could probably make one small egg in them. They're about 2.5, 3 inches around. If you want to try and cook something with them. But yeah, that's all I got for the for cast iron ashtrays. Do I watch Luis on YouTube? No, I haven't. I haven't heard of Luis. Set these down before I get myself knocked over. Oh, I almost forgot. I was going to show you what works really nice for shipping number 8 and smaller cast iron skillets are these. This is, get to where I can see it. You see the little chess pieces and dice there? This is a game board box you can get from the post office. They're free, but most post offices don't carry them, so you have to order them on the website. And they'll deliver them to your nearest post office. You get like a pack of 50 of them, and they're free. But they're a great size for a number 8 skillet. It's big enough around. Fold her down a little bit here. It's big enough around that it'll fit, a number 8 will fit inside of there, and you have some padding on the outside, and it's more than long enough. You just stuff one end with, up to about there with newspaper, get your pan in there, and, just keep packing newspaper on there till it's in there good and solid, and it doesn't rattle around when you shake it. And they work nice for that. And smaller ones, you can get a bunch of smaller ones in there because it's a flat rate box. It's like $20, whether it's 7 pounds or 70, I think is the weight limit on these, up to 70 pounds. So you can pack a bunch of number 3s in there, get them tucked in there right, so they're not banging around. But yeah, those work great for number 8 and smaller skillets. And like I say, they're free. You got to order them on the website, but and have them sent to the post office nearest you, and they'll pick them up. But they're free, and they are a handy little box. And I think the flat rate on them is like $20, which is pretty much what you're going to pay for shipping anywhere. Will lead paint ruin the lye tank? Yeah, I wouldn't want to have lead paint floating around in the lye tank. It'll take it off, but I would dump it out after that. If you know it was lead paint, and it won't necessarily get rid of all the lead either. So you'll have to definitely test them again, and throw out your lye after that, because you'll end up dipping your next pan in a lead solution. But yeah, like I said, those, they're great for number 8s and smaller, and you can pack as many things in there as you can, up to 70 pounds, and it's still the same price. Because shipping nowadays, it's mostly by volume rather than weight. I mean, they'll nail you if it's overweight, but they're more concerned with the size of it, really, rather than the weight. Send out long griddles. If you sell on eBay, they're $18.75. Without a discount, the long box is $22.75. Okay. Yeah, griddles, they'll definitely fit a long rectangular griddle. Like I said, and waffle irons, all kinds of different things will fit in there. Most of your stuff smaller than, less than, I think, what's the dimensions on that? Let's see here. It says on there somewhere. It says what the actual dimensions. 11.875 by 3.25 by 24.0625, because you need to know down to the last 10,000th of an inch how big a cardboard box is. But yeah, it's basically 11 3/4 by 24 by 3 1/4. You can see it's about that high, which is just about the height of your average, your average number 8 skillet. And like I said, best of all, they're free. At least the boxes are. Would hate to ship the griddle Bill bought. The thing gets loose, it could skewer somebody. Yeah, those are some pretty brutal handles on that griddle you got. Billy Lee showed me a waffle iron. It's kind of hard to say exactly how old it is. I would guess somewhere around mid 1800s, just by the overall style of it. It has the old fashioned kind of waffle pattern. Before they really got into the basic waffle pattern you usually see nowadays. I think they called that French waffles. But it's got a definitely an early kind of pattern to it, and it has long pointy handles on it for doing over an open fire. And did you ever get that cleaned up? Get it cleaned up, you might be able to spot some kind of a marking or something on it. Am I done cooking on the wood stove this season? Might get a couple of more turns on it. It still hasn't really warmed up all that much around here. It's been fairly good. How's Milo? Well, he just wandered by. He's still blind. He's still hobbling along. Still getting around, though, so he's doing okay for now, but he's pretty much worn out, I think. There's nothing I can really do about it. He gets too much worse, I'm probably gonna have to have him put to sleep. There's just no getting around it, because he's 16, 17 years old, and he's blind, and he's getting pretty arthritic. But for now, he's not really suffering, so we'll let him go. But he's on his way out, I'm afraid. But yeah, I should probably get one or two more sessions of cooking on the wood stove yet. You haven't got it cleaned up yet. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Like I said, the hinge looks a little more modern than the rest of it, but that's not necessarily. They might have just been a little ahead of their time with the hinge. And like I said, once you get it cleaned up, you might be able to get a few more little details. But like I said, I would guess it's mid 1800s, around there, mid to late at the most. I wouldn't think anything later than 1880, 1890. How's Jesse? He's a bit better. I'm gonna have to take him back to the vet and probably have to go up his nose with a little scope and see what's going on in there. He's gotten better. I mean, I'm sure whatever is bothering him probably got infected. Got a sinus infection going for it. We got that cleared up, and he's breathing better, but there's still definitely something going on inside his nose. So we'll have to sedate him and crawl up his nose and have a look. But hopefully we should be able to get him straightened around. Yeah, it's always a shame when you lose a dog, but eventually it does get to that point. It's just how it is. Let's see. Oh, and hopefully by next week, I should be able to show you my new toy that I got. It hasn't been delivered yet, so like I said, hopefully it'll be here by next Tuesday. We'll see. Your dog had a June bug up his nose. Yeah, I wonder, he might have a bot up there or something, or just something jammed in there. Can a chrome pan be put in the Lytec? Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't bother chrome or nickel. Ended up getting that white enamel Volrath, half price, $5. Use it for decoration. Yeah, I mean, usually with the enamel, once it starts getting really badly crazed, you don't want to use it because it can start flaking on you. There's a few really old pots that are enameled. Usually it's a white enamel that has lead in it. But anything after about 1900, they pretty much got away from using the lead-based enamel. It wasn't because at the time they were afraid of lead. It's just simply they found a cheaper way of doing it. And so usually anything after 1900, there isn't lead in it. But if you're worried about it, you can test the enamel. If you can, just kind of scuff it lightly someplace it isn't going to show. Just scuff it up lightly, and you can usually test them for lead. If you're worried about it. But even if there isn't lead in it, if the enamel starts flaking off, you got little bits of enamel, which is really just glass, in your food. So yeah, your 3 pets under slabs, no more animals, you'll be a pet cemetery. Yeah, we got, a fair number of pets over the years buried out in the yard. Yeah, June bug. Yeah, I never heard of June bugs up the nose, but I can see where it'd be possible. And botfly larvae are fairly common. Up their nose. Used to get them on the backs of cows all the time, and just kind of pick them like a big zit. You get this big grub that comes out. Kind of gross, but it's kind of fun too. Can't wait to start the electrolysis tank now that it's warmer. The lye tub's in the back room. Yeah, I got a lye tub in the bathroom, but I'm still quite a ways from being able to set up the electrolysis tank outside. We haven't got above 50 yet. We've had a fairly steady run of days where it gets up around 40 and got a fair bit of melting going on, but it drops back down to the 20s at night. And people get June bugs in their ears. That would be unpleasant, having one crawl in your ear. You're from Tennessee, close to Nashville. Take a drink here. And we're winding up. We're just about to 50 minutes. Yeah, if you're still watching Cast Iron Chaos, I'm on Facebook as Mud Brooker. You can get a hold of me there, or email at themudbrooker@yahoo.com, and we can set up a date and do a dual stream. That'd be a lot of fun, I think. And like I said, I haven't done it either, so between the two of us, we should be able to figure it out. And might be an utter complete disaster, but we'll muddle our way through it, and it'd be a lot of fun. That bourbon looks good. Yeah, that's a big bottle of Bullet. Got it cheap. It was on sale at the grocery store, so I couldn't pass it by because I think it was $35 for a 1.75 liter, which is a pretty good price for it. And it's good bourbon too. Yeah, a couple of weeks. Yeah, I think I'm good up until for my work schedule. I think I'm good up until the 3rd week in April. Then there'd be one day that I couldn't do it, or 1 week where I'd be working 3 to 11, so I wouldn't be able to do it then. But after that, I got some time off and back on there. Yeah, set her up for a couple of weeks from now. double check it. Got my schedule here. Yeah, I don't start second shift until the 13th of April on to the 19th. So I wouldn't be able to do it then, but either side of that would be good. Yeah, it made for an interesting, fun show. He knows a lot of things that I don't know, and I might know a couple things he doesn't. You know, should be able to get some pretty interesting things going. Should be fun. Do a little cooking and discussing. You have to try Jameson Black Barrel, $50. Haven't had Jameson Black Barrel. A lot of the Bushmills, you know, their different styles are good. You know, just plain regular Bushmills is good. Red Bush is pretty nice. And it's a little bit cheaper usually than the regular Bushmills. But they have Black Bush, which is, I think, 10 or 12-year-old Bushmills. And that's really good. And it's not terribly bad for the price. It's, you know, around $50, I think, for Black Bush. About the same as the Jameson. And the Red Bush, they age that. I can't remember if it's in old bourbon barrels or old sherry barrels. But it's definitely good stuff. And I like Jameson too. I'll have to give the Black Barrel a try. Yeah, if we get Stephen Strawn roped into this fiasco too, that could be a lot of fun. I know he's done a couple of live streams. I mean, he doesn't really do much for live streams, I know. He hasn't made a lot of videos lately either. Good luck getting him. You never know. Might find him sometime when he's not quite in his right mind and get him roped into it. But that would be kind of fun. I think both of them have a good sense of humor and don't mind making fun of each other. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind people poking fun at me here and there. So it shouldn't be too bad. If nothing else, we can start a good internet slap fight. Those are always good for ratings and loads of entertainment. Bickering back and forth, we could have our own little Jerry Springer show. Yeah, I don't remember where I heard it from, but that Stephen was working on a book for BSR, which would really be nice. I mean, there's nothing really out there for reference works for Birmingham Stove and Range. Cynthia picks on CIC. Well, you got to have somebody to pick on you. I mean, life's no fun without some kind of a foil or an annoyance or just somebody nattering at you now and then. You know, but yeah, I hope it's true that he is working on it because, you know, like I said, you know, there really isn't any good reference for, you know, reference books for Birmingham Stove and Range. I would definitely buy it. Yeah, Rocket Caver. Yeah, I would definitely buy one if you came out with it. Jason Walker published a book on BSR, Small Press. Oh, I have to see if I can find that one too. Because, yeah, I mean, you know, there's, you know, a lot of stuff on Griswold and Wagner, a fair bit on Lodge, but there's kind of a dearth of BSR information. Jerry Springer show comment made my husband laugh. Yeah. Yeah, even if it ain't the Jerry Springer show, I mean, it should be a disastrous enough affair to be entertaining. Because, you know, like you know, mentioned, neither one of us has tried to run the dual stream thing, but that could be kind of fun. I would like to learn more about Lady Bess. Yeah, I don't have any. The only Lady Bess thing that I have is a little 5-inch square, you know, sandwich skillet. But I don't have I don't have any of the wood handled skillets. I've seen a few around, but I managed to miss out on all of them for some reason or another. Where might we find that book? Yeah, Jason Walker. I'll have to look that down, write that down, do a little searching around, see if we can find it. But yeah, anyhow, I think I'll wrap her up here. We're 55.5 minutes into the show. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're going to pack up cast iron, the big thing is make sure you don't have any spare room in the box. You don't want things rattling around in there. You can stack cast iron pans inside of each other in the box. Just put a little bit of cardboard between them and kind of tape them together so it's one solid chunk. And then pack that in the box and make sure she don't rattle around. And usually you can get by pretty good. Hopefully you enjoyed the little bit on the diamond logo stuff. Like I said, there's the diamond logo and the slant logo especially. There's a lot of variations in there. They're a bit spendy, but if you come across one for a good price, it's definitely something worth grabbing. Even if they got a little bit of warp to them. Pretty much all of the slant logo round griddles are almost always going to have at least a little bit of warp or twist to them, and because it was an issue with them, that's what they were trying to solve with the reinforcement. Finally started making them heavier, and they finally kept straight. But anyhow, I'll see you guys next week. I'll definitely be having a show next week, and I'm pretty sure the week after, but the week after, I'm pretty sure I'm working. So I'll miss one show. After that, it'll open up again for a couple of weeks. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We'll see you guys next week. And we'll try and set up a show, dual stream and see what kind of chaos we can create on StreamYards. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.